Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome to Busybird Publishing. My name is Blaise.
My name's Les.
We weren't here last week. Why? I can't remember. Why weren't we here last week?
I was in prison.
I can't even remember, but there was a reason why we...
You were out for the day.
Was I?
Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't do our live.
Didn't we?
Did we miss each other? Do you think anyone missed us? Anyway, we come in once a week to chat to you about books and publishing and writing, anything to do with books. And we spotlight some of the books that we've published. We have actually, and the dog's chewing a bone if you're wondering what that noise is, we have worked out that we have published over 500 people in the last 10 years.
It's like 100% strike rate if everyone has come here.
It is. Yeah, I guess it is. Well, anyway, this book is one that we published a couple of years ago, but I think it's actually very relevant because so many people have issues with sleep. Myself included, I have a lot of trouble getting to sleep, and then I'm okay once I'm asleep, but if anything wakes me, then I have to start the whole process again. I have too much of a monkey brain. And you have issues with sleep too, don't you, Les?
I sleep like a baby.
Do you?
Get up every 2 hours and cry. Yeah.
Okay. So, Svetty Williams has written Fix My Sleep in 10 minutes or less per night. So, Svetty says, today we are overworked and underslept. The epidemic of sleep deprivation is on the verge of rapid growth, yet we are expected to perform at top level to meet the expectations that the modern world demands. Why is it that we can't sleep? It's actually not the sleep that is broken, it's everything else that disrupts our sleep. In Fix My Sleep, Svetty Williams will assist you in identifying your sleep challenges and will introduce you to sleep enhancers sourced from traditional methods, complementary and alternative medicine based back in ancient times. She introduces you to the traditional rituals that will assist you in relaxing your mind, body, heart and soul. With her easy-to-follow techniques, your sleep will be balanced and you'll sleep soundly every night. This is what's awesome about books, is that you have a little manual on how to do something or how to get somewhere. So this is actually a really good resource for that. Would you say that?
Yes, I would say that.
Okay.
Hold it up here the rest of the show.
Okay, that's it. We'll go now. Alright, and the other book, which is hot off the press, this is actually the prototype. It's called Pimby, and this is by a local guy who has drawn these little pictures, a little bit inspired by, what would you say, it's what was that liking?
Probably by his time on the island.
What?
It's written by the professor from Gilligan's Island, isn't it?
Oh, Professor Fish.
Ah, it's a different professor. Okay.
So this is about a very cute little dragon. It's a very
That's
cute
cute.
little picture, isn't it? His name, or her name, is Pimby. Pimby, the cute, kind, timid dragon, finds herself captured by hideously horned Vikings, haunted by their own greed. Embarking on a journey to seek desired treasures on an unnamed, mysterious island, Pimby faces a grueling challenge ahead in order to gain the courage within, spreading her wings wide to conquer her fears. It's pretty cute. Purple dragon.
It's cute.
I just want to show you some of the images because I don't want to give too much of it away. But I really like the Vikings. They're very cute. So that is hot off the press. It will be for sale very soon.
How soon?
Well, as soon as all of the technology catches up.
How soon's that?
Because it's going to be, maybe next week, it's going to be print on demand. So that means it has worldwide distribution, which is awesome. Local artist has put this book together. So Les, today our topic is
So I'm reading.
why and how we're going into publishing. Because sometimes people ask, well often people ask me that, and actually I became a publisher by accident.
Really? You just slipped on the printing press and printed a book?
No, I went back to school feels like a long time ago. What year? 2006 I went back to school.
That wasn't your first year, was it? It's like
It was my
1984 was your first year.
No, 2006 was my first year. I went to write my novel because I had been thinking about trying to write a novel for a long time. So I went back to really for the creative writing classes, and there was an element to that course that was around editing and publishing, and I absolutely loved the process of putting a book together and still do. So I feel like I'm an accidental publisher, but I've been working at it for 10 years now, so I feel like I know what I'm doing. How about you? Why did you get into publishing?
You hired me. No, I just went back to school to get some qualifications in editing, so I went from there.
Same course.
Yeah.
And we were in the publishing subject together.
Yep.
And we were the only ones who did any work.
Jeez, that's nice.
No.
No, you just besmirched the whole class.
Yep.
Yep.
So why did you do the course?
Because I wanted to get qualifications to get into book editing.
Yep.
And I went from there, meeting you in the beginning with Untitled, and then going on to other books like Journey, Experiences of Breast Cancer, and so on.
Yep. What, in terms of when you first, because you probably didn't think you'd be working in publishing when you first went to do the course. You did?
Yeah.
I thought you were just going to be a freelance editor.
No, screw that.
No, seriously. Did you, what was
I
the
probably
sort of
looked at it
pathway?
from trying to get editing a job in like a commercial publisher focusing on fiction. But I mean, things went a different way, which is fine, right? Because that's the way life goes. But I did sort of, the freelancing was like a fallback.
Yeah, and these days a lot of the big publishers don't have in-house publishers so much. I don't think. Some of them a lot of them are outsourcing their work to freelancers. What, in terms of the publishing process, aside from the editing, which you did a lot of in the early years, and probably burnt out because you did so much of it, what would you say to people who are wanting to get into publishing in terms of the editing? What would you say to people wanting to be editors? How to, a good pathway? Or some things to look out for?
Oh, the course is always good. I mean, it depends what course it is. Our course at that time was, I think, the best course in Victoria. Because I had really good teachers, had a publisher as part of the actual institution, so they were publishing their own books.
Yeah.
So you're getting actually practical experience rather than it all being theory. And I was there. So they're like three really good things that were a great springboard into publishing, which gave you experience in a way that you'd otherwise need to leave and find a job somewhere. And then doing internships like here, where you actually get to get more practical experience. The bulk of our stuff is practical experience where you're thrown into the deep end.
Yeah.
And you actually experience what you would be doing as an editor firsthand.
Yep. I actually, we've had lots of interns go through here, through our intern program, and so many people who employ editors or even anyone in the publishing industry really look favourably on internships as practical experience. And so many people, when they ring me for a reference, like the employer ring me to get a reference for the prospect, they say that people who've done an internship just are so much more proficient at the job.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're getting, again, real experience. It's not all about theory. I remember when our course was up and running, before the government cut it, they prided themselves on the fact it was very practical based.
Yeah.
It was more like 75% practice, 25% theory, whereas other schools are doing it the other way. The bulk of it was just theory. So you never actually got to experience what you'd be doing.
Yeah.
So I think also if some people were doing our course, they actually learned that wasn't for them, which is probably the best time to learn it rather than when you go looking for jobs and stuff like that. But also once you left the course and you could do an internship at a place like here or you got a job elsewhere, you already had a lot of experience behind you.
Yeah.
And you had experience you could put on your CV. It wasn't just like I went to school and graduated. It was like I went to school, I worked for their publisher, I worked on these books, I worked with authors, I worked on editing, I worked on design, layout and all that sort of stuff. I mean, how many books did we work on?
Yeah, in the early days, I don't know lots.
I mean, I know Killing Time by A.T. Davidson and Miniatures by Barry Dickens were two of the novels, or two of the books, sorry, that we worked on, which came out in that 1 year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, really, really good experience. What would you say, because you did a lot of editing, freelance editing in the early days after you were qualified. What, if any, mistakes did you make?
I don't make mistakes. You must be thinking of someone else. Maybe a shorter guy, fat glasses and a beanie. It's all just learning. Probably the one thing I learned was to break everything down mathematically in terms of edits. So if you get an 80,000 word edit and it's got to be done within 2 weeks, to actually 80,000 divided by 2 weeks, 14 days, equals how many words you've got to do per day. Instead of, like, I think some people want to, they treat it like high school homework. They try and do it like the day before it's due. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they try and do it in huge chunks and just exhaust themselves. Whereas it's all about pacing.
And that's the thing about editing, is you can't do it for 8 hours a day.
No,
it's really exhausting. It's really mentally fatiguing because you have to concentrate 100% of the time, the whole time that you're working on it.
Yeah, it's not like other jobs where you can be doing it while you're chatting on the phone or watching television or whatever. When you're editing, you really just need quiet and to sit there. People are talking, that's it. You can't get into it. It's like, you can't read while people are talking. You can't read while there's a TV show on and it's getting your interest and stuff like that. I mean, obviously you can read a newspaper, but not like an actual book.
So you do have to be careful of burning out.
Yeah.
If you're a freelancer, for instance, you need to make sure that you don't say yes to 10 jobs in 1 month.
Well, that's the other thing is the client management.
Yeah.
And sometimes it just gets, I recall editing about 5 books at once at one stage, and although I was completing the edit, I wasn't sending it straight back because I was trying to manage when I'd send stuff back in accommodating what I was getting back and when I was getting it back. But sometimes it's just like, I'd time it all, and then an author who wasn't going to send something back for a week sent something back within a day or two. And I was like, okay, now I've got to add that to the stockpile. So it's also about client management.
Yep. What would you say is your favourite part of the publishing process?
Probably when you see the book actually start to take form in terms of its potential.
Yeah.
So, when you get stuff that's, could be good or could be rough, whatever the case it is, but then you see as the author works on it, it really takes new form.
Well, almost like all the parts sort of slotting in together and actually becomes a viable product.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about publishing, there's two sides to it. There's all that creative part where you're getting the words and the content together, but then you have to think of all of the monetary or the commercial side of it in terms of making a return on your investment, making sure that it actually gets into readers' hands, because that's probably the hardest part of the whole equation. And I think that's what people don't realise, is that just because you have a fantastic product out doesn't equate into sales all the time.
No, I mean that happens with any
product.
Yep.
Even if it's a coat hanger.
Coat hanger, televisions, DVD players, stuff like that. Yeah, everything's about marketing. So once you have the product, it's how do you sell it?
In terms of the future of publishing, where do you think the future is in publishing?
In what way?
Well, 10 years ago when ebooks started coming out, everyone was freaking out thinking that the real book, printed book, was going to die. And, at that time a few bookshops closed down, but I wonder if it's more about the way they ran their business rather than actual books, because books continue to sell quite steadily. So do you think the print book will be around for a long time? You don't?
No.
It has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, but there wasn't competing technology for thousands of years. In my opinion, what's going to happen as we move on is kids who are going to school today bringing iPads and stuff. They're going to learn to read on electronic devices. And instead of a kid going to school and being told bring your maths book and your English book and all that, they'll just bring in an iPad and everything will be on that.
Yeah.
And it won't be this generation, and it probably won't be next generation. Well, I think what you're going to find as we move towards electronic reading as the next generations move on to electronic reading more and more, print books will become more niche.
Mm.
I mean, that's my opinion, I could be wrong.
Yep.
But you look at kids now, they're constantly on phones, they're constantly on tablets, they're constantly on gaming consoles and all that. So their interaction is constantly with screen technology. And
in terms of the printed book, though, it's a very different experience, isn't it, to read on paper?
Everyone I know prefers print books, or pretty much everyone I know. But I'm talking about, like, you know, your 6, 7, 8-year-olds who are being brought up on iPads.
Yeah.
You know, and I see that a lot with children, you know, really young children, where it's just a case of their parents going, "Here's an iPad, keep yourself entertained." You know, whereas previously it might have been read a book. So they're being groomed in a way to use electronic technology in terms of reading. And you know, if you look at people who go on holidays, like even people our vintage, instead of bringing 4 or 5 books, that's when I'll revert to an actual Kindle reader or something.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not going to carry this many books. I'll carry something that's this thin. I'll just stick it in my bag and bang, I'm going to put 10 books on that and I can read them when I want.
Yeah.
So it's even like a fast. We're doing it for convenience, but I think as the generations go on, they'll be doing it more and more.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And you look at like ebook purchase, it's just so much easier. I don't have to get up and go to the shopping.
Especially with some things that are harder to find, you know, in a shop, or if you don't want to wait for postage, for instance. So there's pluses and minuses to both, aren't there? Really,
I think it's pretty much minuses for the physical experience of reading. I think it's terrible on an ebook reader. I don't think you get the tactile enjoyment from it. I think books actually have a beauty to them, whereas ebook readers just can't represent that.
Even the actual visual layout of a page is very different on a print book compared to an ebook.
I think print books are so far superior in terms of a reading experience to ebooks. But like, I just think because technology and society is moving towards making things quicker and easier and all that sort of stuff, it won't be now, it won't be in 10 years, it'll take a little while.
20 years or so.
Yeah,
what do you think of audiobooks?
I've only listened to a few in my time. It really depends on the reader. I try to listen to one that was terribly read and was actually read by the author.
So the voice makes a big difference.
I read what I thought was a really average book. I heard a really average book, but it was read so well that I listened to all of it. I mean, I think it's pretty good. I mean, the one problem with audiobooks for me is, like, I actually like to read and just imagine the voice in my head as I'm reading it. Whereas audiobooks impose that upon you, so if you don't connect with it, you don't connect. But they're a really good alternative, especially if you've got a long drive and stuff like that.
Alright, well, that's a little bit of insight from us in terms of the behind the scenes in the publishing world. What have we got coming up tonight? We have open mic night at 7 o'clock here at Busybird.
Yep.
And we're going to be announcing the winners of the manuscript assessments. And what else is happening? Tomorrow I have my Fire Up Your Business session with Joe Johnson down in Frankston. And there's a Turning Pages event tomorrow night in Mornington, which is going to be awesome. A whole lot of authors in one room. Then there's the Mornington Writers Festival on Sunday, which I will be talking about publishing at.
Anything on Saturday?
No,
it's not. Okay.
And we have our Bali retreat, 2 weeks to go. So there's still a very slim chance that people can book in, but you'd have to hurry because I have already given out the list to the venue of who is going to be there, but we could squeeze one more person in. So that's the 1st to the 6th of November. There you go. Anything else to tell anyone?
No.
No? Okay, we will see you next week. Bye.
See ya.